All right, so moving on to the next segment, I'll be sharing my thoughts on the top landing spots for San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk. These are the top landing spots for Brandon Aiyuk if the San Francisco 49ers decide to trade him. So, the 49ers and Brandon Aiyuk are still on bad terms in terms of a long-term deal to keep Brandon Aiyuk in San Francisco with the 49ers. And they're not on the same page in terms of contract negotiations. Brandon Aiyuk is entering his final year in his rookie deal, former wide receiver from the 2020 NFL Draft. Now, don't get me wrong. Brandon Aiyuk is one hell of a player. And we already know that. And at this point right now, if you subtract the 2021 regular season of how Kyle Shanahan used Deebo Samuel as a wide receiver and a running back in his offense, you take away that year, I believe Brandon Aiyuk has by far been the best wide receiver in San Francisco since he's been there in 2020. If you remove that year. And Brandon Aiyuk he's a phenomenal player, phenomenal wide receiver. And I feel like the writing on the wall for Brandon Aiyuk was there in this past 2024 NFL draft when the 49ers selected Ricky Purcell, a wide receiver from Florida, in the first round of the 2024 NFL draft. And don't get me wrong, me being a Florida Gators fan, Ricky Purcell is one hell of a wide receiver. I mean, he's got great hands, great route runner, has great playmaking abilities. But when I see him get drafted to the 49ers, and what the 49ers already have in their offense of Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle at the tight end position, now Ricky Purcell at wide receiver, I'm looking, somebody's going to be the odd guy out of this offense. Somebody's production numbers are definitely going to go down. And I just don't see the 49ers keeping Brandon Aiyuk on this roster right now after they just got Ricky Purcell in the NFL draft. Now, obviously, you could put Ricky Purcell in the middle. You could have him in the slot for his rookie season, if you want to keep Brandon Aiyuk. But I just don't see that, as the 49ers and Brandon Aiyuk are not on the same page. And Brandon Aiyuk has already said his frustration several times during the NFL offseason, and he's frustrated he has not gotten a new deal. So I feel like it is the right appropriate time to trade Brandon Aiyuk while you could get some trade value for him before the NFL season starts. So these are the top landing spots for Brandon Aiyuk if the San Francisco 49ers trade him. Starting off with team number one would be the Washington Commanders. Now, I do believe this would add some spice, some flavor to the NFC East, and this could help the Commanders possibly stay in the race with the top tier teams in the NFC East of the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I feel like Brandon Aiyuk going to the Commanders makes a lot of sense because Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback for the Washington Commanders, and Brandon Aiyuk FaceTimed a lot this NFL offseason. And it seems like the conversations that we see on social media, Brandon Aiyuk is very high on him. Now, you could have Brandon Aiyuk play in this Washington Commanders offense alongside Terry McLaurin, who is obviously the Commanders number one wide receiver already. This would help their offensive stock raise and help Jaden Daniels during his rookie season. Also, for new offensive play caller Cliff Kingsbury, who obviously, if you follow his collegiate level career and obviously his time with the Arizona Cardinals, his offense is a pass-first offense that likes to run 3 to 4 wide receivers on the field at once. So if you have that in there with Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, maybe an Austin Eckler, depending on what type of Austin Eckler shows up in the backfield, along with Brian Robinson, that could add some spice and some flavor to the NFC East. Now, we'll see if the Commanders do that, but I did say the Commanders could get, they could trade the 49ers a mid-round pick and former first-round pick from the 2022 NFL draft class of Jahan Dotson at the wide receiver position, give him to the San Francisco 49ers, who still has roughly 2 years left on his rookie deal. So I think that could be a win-win if the Commanders give up a mid-round pick and Jahan Dotson for Brandon Aiyuk. That could possibly work, but that's team number one. Now, team number two is the New York Jets. Now, the New York Jets are a wild card team in this scenario. Well, can I see them fully doing it? No, but it is a team for me to look out for in terms of where Brandon Ayuk could go, because the Jets are in an all-win now mode. I mean, time is ticking for them. They put a lot to get into Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers' Achilles blew up in a matter of 4 plays last year on that Monday Night Football game against the Bills. So now you're in win now mode, getting Aaron Rodgers back. And Aaron Rodgers is playing with. If Brandon Ayuk gets to New York, he would be playing the Big Apple alongside Aaron Rodgers, who is one of the most talented quarterbacks of all time, and Garrett Wilson, their young wide receiver. So you could have Garrett Wilson on one side of the ball, along with Brandon Ayuk on the other side of the ball, with Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball. That'd be a lethal offense that could put up a lot of points in New York for the New York Jets. Now, like I said, that's a wild card team, but in terms of the Jets keeping Brandon Ayuk on a long-term deal, it could work, because the Jets will have a total of $58.2 million in cap space for the 2025 NFL free agency run next spring. So that might give the Jets more time and more money to come up with a deal for Brandon Ayuk to keep him on the long-term deal in New York if they were to trade for him. Now, I could see the Jets trading away a third-round pick in 2025 and the defensive lineman Jermaine Johnson to the 49ers, and I think the 49ers would be happy to accept this deal. Jermaine Johnson could fit on that defensive line with the likes of Nick Bosa, Nick Bosa, and several others that the San Francisco 49ers have on that defense. So I think that would be a win-win for both teams if they do that and go in that situation. Now, last but not least, I do believe the final team to look out for is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Steelers did try to trade for Brandon Ayuk in the 2024 in the 2024 NFL draft. But the trade between the Steelers and the 49ers did not go through. It did not work out. But the Steelers need to upgrade at the wide receiver position. They need more talented players in their wide receiver room after they traded away Deontay Johnson to the Carolina Panthers this NFL offseason. They still have their young, talented player in George Pickens. Brandon Ayuk could be a factor to land in Pittsburgh. I mean, whoever the quarterback is for the sake of the future or for the remainder of the season, we know Russell Wilson's going to start, but it could always turn to Justin Fields if things go wrong. But I do like that, and I like the fact that the Steelers do have a total of $77.2 million in cap space this upcoming free agency and then for 2025, and that could be enough money to sign Brandon Ayuk on a long-term deal. And they could also give the San Francisco 49ers a mid-round pick. They could also give him a mid-round pick, possibly tight end or Darnell Washington, second-year player from Georgia, or they could give him veteran wide receiver Van Jefferson. I mean, Kyle Shanahan could find a role in his offense for a veteran player, Van Jefferson. That'd be something to look out for. But those are my Brandon Ayuk landing spots that for if Brandon Ayuk and the 49ers decide to part ways and go their separate ways very soon in the NFL.